Hi everyone, it's Jeannie from Makers Unify, and today I have two projects I want to show you. One of them is to take this journal, this plain journal, and revamp it. I'm going to decorate it and make it look beautiful. So I found this old piece of jewelry that I had, but it didn't have any gems in it or any jewels. So I'm taking some E6000 and some little pearls that I have and putting them in this, it's like a brooch or a pin, and I'm going to use that for the front cover of the journal. Next up, I'm going to take some wicker white paint from Folk Art and put a couple coats on here. And of course I use the blow dryer in between to let things dry because I am impatient and don't want to wait for paint to dry. So now I have this rice paper that I picked up from Sweet and Sassy Treasures, and I'll put their link below. And this is it's either Ciao Bella or Sea Bella, it's CIAO Bella rice paper, and I really like it because it's pretty strong. It has fibers in it, but it also lays down very nicely, and it's easy to put on with Mod Podge. So here I am just figuring out how I want to cut this, because I'm going to have to use two pieces to put on both the front and the back of the book. So like I said earlier, this goes on pretty easily with Mod Podge. I had kind of formed the rice paper around the cover to get some seams going or some creases so that I could easily fold it over and glue it onto the book. I do not put a coat of Mod Podge on the cover because it's really not necessary. It sticks on pretty good, and I didn't want an extra shine or sheen from it. And then here's the back, just forming it around the cover, and I'll cut the excess off and put some notches in the corners so that it folds over easier. And this journal actually has a back pocket, so I kind of manipulate the paper a little bit underneath the kind of the expansion part of the pocket so that it doesn't rip if I want to use the pocket and open it up. Otherwise, if it was over the top of it, the paper probably would have ripped. So here I'm using the IOD mold called Olive Crest. I want to use these little pieces for the corner, like kind of a corner mold on the journal. And again, I got these molds from the Iron Orchard molds I bought from Sweet and Sassy Treasures. And here is the centerpiece that I'm going to put on the journal. And these molds are very easy to use, and you just kind of clean them up a little bit and glue them on with some Titebond, and then just let them dry overnight. So here I am taking the wicker white Folk Art matte white paint just to put a little bit of like a protective coating over the dried clay, and then I'll go over that with some to try and highlight some of the details in the clay molds, and I use the Rust-Oleum chalk paint in Serenity Blue. So this is the chalk paint in the Serenity Blue, and I'm just trying to dry brush it on to bring out some of the details again in the clay pieces. So I take some E6000 glue, put it on the back of the pin, and I'm just going to put it in the center of the book. So here's the updated journal, and I think it turned out beautiful. And my next project is taking these book boxes, I guess you could call it, and I'm going to spruce this one up and make it look like this. So I'm using paper from a scrapbook, or I'm using the scrapbook paper from Craftsmart, and I traced it out kind of with the book, and I'm going to go ahead and Mod Podge it on. You can see there's a little gap here between the one side and the kind of the binding side, I guess you would say. But I figured out a way that I could fill that in with some other paper. And the fun thing about this is, like, you can't make any mistakes. It's kind of like making a collage. You just put on here what you think you would like, and it looks good. So here I'm tracing out the back part of the book, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this out and Mod Podge it on. So this is where I'm fixing that little gap that you see there. I just took some other paper, it's like a ledger paper. I'm going to ink it up a little bit, make it look a little bit old or used. And I actually end up keeping this green binding side. I didn't even have to paint it or put any other paper over it. So on the front, I kind of wanted to match the back a little bit. So I did a little bit, kind of the same thing with this ledger paper, and inked it up a little bit and glued it on. So the paper that I am using, some of it, as I said earlier, is scrapbook paper by Craftsman. It's a big pad of it that you can get. I usually get it at Michael's when it's on sale. And then this other paper pack is like 8x8 size. That's from Tim Holtz, as well as some of the ephemera that Tim Holtz has. These are little shots of like postcards and envelopes that I'm going to use a few of those on it. And that's the fun thing about this. Like I said, you can just kind of do whatever you want. I'm going with the travel theme, so I'm finding things that have to do with travel, and I'm going to go ahead and put them on. This is my little ephemera box that I have full of different things that either Tim Holtz or I've cut out or from other places. So now I'm taking some of the strips of paper that I cut out, and I'm going to roll it up, and it's going to be used for the top part of the book, the travel book, I guess you would call it. So here I'm just cutting out a circle, and one of these days I'll learn to try and keep things in the camera shot, so sorry about that. So the clock is another piece of ephemera by Tim Holtz, and I cut out this circle blue piece that has like a map on the bottom. It's like a, I guess a water map. I don't know what they call that, marine map. Here is other items from Tim Holtz. I'm going to go ahead and put this on here like a little charm that I will attach to the side of the book. So here I am, almost done. I am going to go ahead and start gluing the pieces on. So these are fun little clock hands that are also from Tim Holtz. So I'm going to go ahead and take some E6000 glue and glue that on, as well as the smaller, I guess it's the second hand on the bottom. I have little hands for that one also. So I'm using tight bond glue again to go ahead and glue this clock on top and the rest of the pieces. I'm going to go ahead and clip this little charm on that I made to the side. And here's the final product, and I really like how this one turned out too. It's a nice little place to keep your little trinkets and tickets and pictures and things like that from your travels. So thanks for watching. This is Jeannie from Makers Unify, and have a DIY day.